This evening is that the Chief has joined us for this meeting. Members of Council should have before them a series of memos and materials relating to keyless entry locks or security locks for Borough Hall. This actually began in January of this year with a memorandum from the Chief which made recommendations involving the changing of locks to a better security and a keyless format, which would involve an electronic keypad. This is something currently in use with the police department as we speak. A series of reviews were done, and earlier this year I had attached the Chief's memorandum, original memorandum, along with one from me, and some information on keyless locks. And basically the keyless lock is just that. It's a computer pad with numbers, and the combination of numbers is capable of being changed periodically, but otherwise the limitation would be to those in possession of the code. We basically have three locks in Borough Hall, one at the very front of the building facing North State Street for council chambers. That is a deadbolt and is not contemplated to be affected by this. The two involved, however, are the public entrance on the south side and the interior office door. The public entrance would be anticipated to have a code which would be provided to committee chairs and others who would have business involving the use of council chambers on a periodic basis when other staff may not be there, such as in the evening. However, the interior office, that is to say the administrative offices, would be yet another keyless lock which would have a code which would be more restrictive given the nature of that space as keeping public records and computers and other sensitive materials. But the concept is the same for each of those locks. It is a computer pad with a code. Subsequent to my giving you the memorandum, which has a keyless lock estimates and specifications, the Chief also provided to me, and you'll see attached with the same materials in front of you, information from the locks. And simply stated, that adds something else to the consideration here, and that is to make the public entrance to Borough Hall on the south side ADA compliant with a door, the specifications of which are in front of you. And the question I wanted to pose for a brief discussion this evening while the Chief is here is whether you wish to proceed with an ADA compliant door, which would have a keyless lock feature, or whether you wish to stay with a keyless format as originally recommended by the Chief. And that's basically what I'm looking for in terms of some direction. The ADA compliant door is much more expensive. It's about $3,000. The keyless lock otherwise is around $500 to $600, so it's a considerable expense. Borough Hall is also an older structure, so it was not built with ADA requirements in mind. Certainly if we make the public entrance ADA compliant with a door that opens, then we'll have to do some internal things such as just basically moving furniture away from the area of the hallway immediately inside the door. Save for that, it appears that the door would work. But there is a cost question of whether or not we want to start to travel down the road of being more compliant with ADA requirements. And with that, Chief, I'll ask if you have anything to add.
No, sir, I think you pretty much have covered it.
Well, thanks for coming, then.
I do agree with you, as I stated earlier, that I believe the borough should look at this ADA compliant door, and it is 2010. And I know we all like to keep the flavor of the community as it has been. Unfortunately, I made this recommendation initially in January as part of my camera program. I feel that the residents, council, and our employees, Marcia and Pat and whoever else will join the team, they deserve some security. In addition to that, I had also asked for a panic button. If one of the employees happens to be there by themselves, they have an issue, you can push the button. It costs about $30 a month to have that security. Is it worth it for your employees? It would go to Advent Security or Alert or some other ADT, and which would summon the police. For $30 a month, I think it's a good feature. I like the door, by the way, and Mr. Sellers pointed out, it's electric, but there's no electric involved in it. It runs off a battery. it is 2010, I think it's time.
No, Mike, we can't hear you.
I'm really sorry. Usually I don't have a problem with people hearing me, but I apologize. Did everyone hear what I said? You don't want to suffer back through it again.
And the reason that you recommended a keyless entry system in the first place for the borough was because of...
There's so many keys out there, Ms. Waldorf. I've been here 22 years, and keys have been given to everyone. Those keys don't necessarily find their way back up when the person who has the key no longer needs to have the key. We have records, people's personal information that needs to be secured. And I think access to those records and to that back room needs to be controlled and limited to yourselves, the employees, and anyone you would feel necessary to go back there when employees aren't there. That's my main reason, and also for the security of our employees. It can change those codes, by the way, if you change counsel or you just decide to do it at a moment's notice. You can change the code in that lock.
Chief, is the problem centered around the number of keys, and are we just replacing keys with code numbers? And are we going to have the same problem, but in electronic form? If everybody who are on the special committee sends a key, they're going to have an access code number to get in the front door. Are we going to start tracking who's coming and going? Numbers are numbers and codes are codes. It's just like giving out keys. I don't see where that changes anything from a security standpoint. I have no any problem with the inside door, but the outside door, it just strikes me that it is a public building with public access and a lot of meetings go on during the week. How do we control that?
The outside door, sir, could be left with the key. The committees could have the key. My main concern is the security for the inner part of the building, where we have computer records, manual records, and employees. That's the focus of my concern. The outer door, you're absolutely correct, could be left as a key lock and not put the key code. However, putting the key code gives you the ability at any point in time to say, you know what, let's take a look at what we have. Let's just change the code and we'll reissue it. It's not a big, there's no expense involved.
I think, Bob, the other point, and I think you made it with your question, is that it is a public space. Council is used as a public space. And over time, as committee chairs change, as organizations who are allowed to use it change, more people have knowledge about or have access to that key. This is a very, very simplified way of periodically limiting access even to the public space. And for me, I know when I read the proposal the chief made earlier in the year, it makes sense. We don't have to worry about a locksmith, and we can perhaps on an annual basis or every 2 years in the case of the public space change the code without having to worry about going to a locksmith. But it is two areas. We're talking about council chambers and the public hallway, and we're talking about the inner office. Certainly the inner office is a very different situation. But I think the principle is still the same, and that's the simplicity of being able to change who can have access periodically. And it's much easier to do once these are installed. If you change the cylinder and provide new keys on a deadbolt door like that, I think, I don't know the exact number, but I'm guessing just from personal experience, it's somewhere under $100, but, it's not cheap every time you do that. 2 doors, you double it. In this fashion, once it's in years in the future, we can very simply announce we're changing that code, give it to the people who should have it at that particular time, and go on, and have it on a regular schedule. So I think from that standpoint, it provides the security function, but it also provides the flexibility to be able to go forward and know that we have control over that space. And in that sense, it's appealing. But that's the one aspect, the keyless. The second is the ADA door. And the third is the panic button, which I did not mention, and the chief just did.